Everybody, we are back. It is Taped Online's favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at mholder95 for Matt, and of course, pandasubs.com. Discount code TDL for 35% off. All right, guys. So today we are doing our top 5 plays of the year, offense and defense. So we're just, I had that request. So, hey, let's do that. Give her a little top 5 plays, mix it up a little bit,
My bad.
But Matt saw something he was mad about on Twitter, so he just threw his phone down. But
no, I was trying to find an old tweet, but yeah, just fumbled it a little bit there. Got the butter hands, I guess, a little bit.
Anyways, but and also, of course, we get into this little coaching and GM search a little bit. Of course, this is probably what we'll start with first. But anything new with you, Matt? Anything, watching any prospects?
I mean, it's just still kind of grinding away on the D line. I mean, we'll get to those guys in the Senior Bowl preview. I mean, I think probably my biggest guy that I'm going to highlight is Byron Murphy from Texas. I mean, we saw him in the Sugar Bowl kind of dominate that Washington offensive line that won the Joe Moore Award, and getting pressure after pressure. I feel like that'll be one of the guys that they can target in the second, third round category. So he's definitely high on my list. Put up some L'Jarius Sneed tape, did a little breakdown on him as a pending free agent because he had a pretty good game this weekend. Wanted to dive back into it. I'll be honest, man. I knew he was good and had a good year, but walked away a lot more impressed than I thought it'd be. There are very few flaws in his game, and dude who not only is like physical but also like pretty smart and has good route recognition, and is reading plays pretty well and all that good stuff. So definitely an intriguing guy to look at and maybe steal away from the Chiefs because that guy had a hell of a campaign.
Yeah, see, I mean, that'd be interesting. The Chiefs let him go. See, you can't give your quarterback $50 million, man. You gotta let go Jerry Sneed, and then he's mad and he comes to the Raiders. I'm like, hey,
maybe, yeah.
I mean, the Raiders got $35 million in cap space. I think they could find some more if they can.
But it was more than that.
I saw this is Sean Reed says it's $35 million according to Jason OTC from Over the Cap. But if Sean Payton, I keep seeing Benjamin Albright. He talking about Jimmy G, so we might have a sucker there. So I told you I might have a sucker. So I think we found it. Benjamin Albright's talked about Jimmy G about 4 times. He's hearing something about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's hearing something, and he's a Broncos guy. I was like, you know what? I knew it. As soon as Sean was going to move over Russell Wilson, I'm like, there it is. And here comes Benjamin Albright. So maybe we can move him, find a way to get some cap space there. I mean, they can move some things around and get some of these guys, I think.
I'm curious, was Albright talking about a trade or
I don't know. He just talked about Jimmy G. About fans are getting mad. There's fans getting mad at him talking about Jimmy G so much. It's like, I'm trying to give you guys realistic options here. So
it sounds like me last year. People getting mad at me for saying that the Raiders are going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, fans don't like it, but he's obviously hearing something. So he's mentioned it too many times. There's a sucker. He wins all the time. We appreciate it. Give us some cap space there. So hopefully, we can work that out and get some cap space because we got a new GM. I don't know if we have a new GM. It looks like it's going to be Champ Kelly, but Ed Dodds is definitely in the running according to Sean Reed of The Athletic. So what are your thoughts on that, man?
I mean, it's interesting because I feel like Kelly, like we've talked about a little bit, like part of me is kind of like, I don't think he has quite the resume that people make him out to be. Like he did help put together a hell of a team with the Broncos in free agency. I mean, their best free agency ever, getting Peyton Manning and all those dudes and helping draft all those dudes at wide receiver. And then the guys like DeMarcus Ware, Aqib Talib that he brought in, even though he took off before they won the Super Bowl. But like he does have an impressive time in Denver, but obviously like the last few years of his time in Chicago wasn't exactly pretty. Like it's not like Chicago's had a bunch of like really good teams in the last few years, and then I mean with the Raiders is 2 draft classes. I mean Samir White's ended up looking good, and Michael Mayer's shown some flashes, and we've seen a few things from those Raiders draft classes in the last 2 years, but it's not like it's been a lot of hits exactly, and his free agency has been much better, if not worse. Besides, I guess trading for Devontae, but
Yeah.
so, but I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's going to be the leading candidate. Him and Dodds. Dodds, I believe, been Bauer's right hand man for a while. I know Bauer's a well respected GM, so
Yeah.
interesting who ends up getting the nod over those two.
Yeah, I think with Dodds is a guy that comes from the Seattle tree, right? So I mean, he comes from Seattle basically. Most of his career is there.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about where he like built his resume, it's there. And then if you even go over to Chris Ballard, I mean, they got Gus Bradley now, right? So Gus Bradley's over there. They kind of built a more Seattle defense over there as well. I mean, they kept Gus Bradley with Shane Steichen. So, Gus Bradley went from one regime. Oh, Steichen. Did I say Steichen? Steichen. So they moved him over with Gus Bradley, came over with that regime as well. So, he comes from something the Raiders already have. So that's why I think he wouldn't be the worst guy to replace Champ Kelly, because I think, especially on defense, the Raiders, they decided to play cover 3 this year. And crazy. They're pretty good on defense because they have a whole bunch of cover 3 guys everywhere, right? They're built to play cover 3 right now. From Hobbs to Amik Robinson, all these guys were drafted around Gus Bradley. And what he really wanted to do, I guess Amik Robinson was more Paul Gunther, but they found a way to kind of mix them in a little bit. But either Hobbs, Diablo, Moreg, all those guys were built to play more cover 3, and they look pretty good with Gus Bradley. And they looked a little better this year when they played more cover 3. So I think bringing in Ed Dodds, and who knows who Ed Dodds wants to go with. I mean, if that was a head coach, I'm sure I think AP is already kind of like set in, even with whatever GM they pick. Because I don't know if Champ Kelly is for sure the GM. I see a lot of people like assuming that. It might be Dodds still, but I still think AP is going to be that coach.
I mean, we like on the head coach, like what was it, a few weeks ago? It was reported that like it's between Harbaugh and AP, and they haven't even brought in Harbaugh for an interview. Not even like a rumor about him. I think Tashawn even tweeted out like you might want to consider the fact that he's not that interested. And I mean, I know there's been conflicting reports on that, but the fact that he hasn't been brought in for an interview, like and now they've fulfilled the Rooney Rule. Like they've laid the groundwork to just hire Antonio Pierce.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty safe to say that Antonio Pierce is the head coach. But like you said, I think the GM is a little bit more up in the air because there does seem to be 2 leading candidates. And again, circling back to what Tashawn's been tweeting recently and reading the tea leaves, like he seems pretty confident that it's going to be Pierce as the head coach, and did mention like that it's coming down to those 2, or it appears like it's coming down to those 2, Dodds and Kelly for the GM. So
yeah, because another thing is, I think them interviewing Chris Richard was very interesting. Because even just, because the last time I think he got interviewed,
another Seattle guy.
Yeah, right. The last time he got interviewed for head coach, I think he like got to join the team or something like that. I think it was with Dallas, and they actually, hey, let's come coach with us, right? And then and then their defense played pretty well, and then they ended up letting them go. And every time he's come and coached the defense, they've played pretty damn well. So even if he's like a defensive assistant or something like that, they should maybe bring him in anyways, especially with the way they play cover 3. He's a great defensive coach, in my opinion. And if they feel like they want to move on from Patrick Graham, I think he would be a good replacement, even though Patrick Graham has kind of like solidified himself as pretty good defensive coordinator. I don't think they're going to let him go, in my opinion. I feel like the buzz around him has grown even more, that they want to hold on to him as a commodity, even though he might have a chance to become a head coach if he has another great year. So I think that's one reason why they want to retain him, because they didn't let him have a defensive coordinator interview, but they let him have head coach ones. He's had like a couple of head coach ones. Defensive coordinator, they're like, no. So obviously he's going to stay on, but I think bringing Chris Richard in some kind of aspect is a good idea.
And the other thing that's telling is they can't block head coach interviews because it'd be a promotion, but they can block like same position or lower position. So I think that tells you a lot. Like they want to keep Patrick Graham in the building. It's a matter of if they can and if they can hire him. And I think another tweet that was floating around today, like I don't think it's any coincidence that the 2 people that they interviewed this week are both defensive minded in case that Graham can't stick around. You know what I mean? Like, then you can almost. It makes it a lot easier a second interview for the defensive coordinator position when you've already talked to the guy for, I'm sure, hours. And picked his brain on what he thought about the team already. So
exactly, especially be a defensive mind. So So Maxx Crosby kind of strong armed this a little bit. He definitely said that he wants. He had Ian Rappaport. He wants to be traded. Ian Rappaport's out there just doing his bidding with his agent. So obviously he tried to strong arm this a little bit. And that's the thing is that they're going to be tied together. There's going to be Raiders fans who wanted somebody else who are going to be very looking at Maxx Crosby very funny from here on out. Like, you better damn win if this is what you want. You strong arm Mark Davis into this, because a lot of that's going to be the conversation is how much Maxx Crosby, his thought process, because they didn't really interview anybody. They interviewed Leslie Frazier and Chris Richard, and here we go. They're like, it's an announcement. Yeah, now we can hire somebody. So. And then Maxx Crosby did his hire AP thing, and kind of set up his podcast episode, but but that dynamic, it really is going to play into this as we go forward. If they hire AP, no matter who they hire, the GM, because he didn't say hire AP Kelly, it wasn't like a slash, it was hire AP. So who matters to the GM? It doesn't matter. But go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, I would hope his priorities with the head coach over the GM, but and there is a little bit of you can pick one, you can be demanding to a certain extent, but you can't just run the organization. But I mean, I get it from Max's perspective too. If you think about it, he's been in the league 5 years and had 3 head coaches already, and about to have his 4th, I guess not 4th if they end up hiring. Oh no, yeah, that would be 4. AP would be 4, so 4 head coaches in 5 years, I get it. I'd be frustrated and I'd be pissed off too, because the guy's playing like an all-pro and was an all-pro this year, and obviously the results aren't showing from the team perspective. So I get that people are frustrated and pissed off, and what you're saying about, you better start winning. But the thing about Maxx is Maxx is going to give you high-level play, and he's not the guy that's going to phone it in at all.
Yeah.
In fact, the reason why he's so pissed off and making these type of demands is because he's tired of the bullshit that he's been dealing with in the last 5 years and wants to win, which I think is what you're looking for from your star player. But yeah, definitely a little bit of a strong arm move, because when what I will say too is it's not like Maxx Crosby was obviously the strongest, but it's not like he was the only one advocating for Antonio Pierce over the last 2 months or whatever. And Devontae Adams was, Jack Jones joked that he might he'd leave the team if AP's not retained and all that stuff. And it's so. Well, Maxx Crosby was the strongest voice, obviously, and because of who he is, it's not like he was alone in this, and it's not like he's the only one vouching for AP. The entire locker room is, and I think that's what almost forces Mark Davis's hand more than even just Maxx saying what he did.
Yeah. And AP is a leader. I think AP could bring a lot of free agents. That's my thing. I think he's a very good recruiter. He had ASU pretty stacked as a team. They didn't win, but they were stacked, right? A lot of these draft.
He recruited a Heisman Trophy winner at ASU.
Exactly.
He just didn't win it with ASU.
It didn't have tape that looked like this at ASU either. I'm mad at it. I watch his film and I'm angry. I was just angry watching this film, to be honest. But but yeah, he got those guys there. And I still thinking even in free agency, I think he can, with the facility and with how Mark Davis treats the players, and then having Antonio Pierce there as a leader, I think we get some players there that want to come, and maybe come at a cheaper rate, right? Just because the facilities and everything that comes with it. I think that's the element that people are missing. I think he could do that. I think he is such a personality, and kind of brings that that Raiders personality alive, that players will want to come, and I think how Mark Davis treats players will bring them as well. So I think the Raiders might have a better free agency than people think, and maybe get some build up a good team, because I think on defense, if they can get some D tackles that are some veterans out there that they can build up a little bit and get some guys to play better inside consistently, and I think they have a pretty good chance to become a pretty damn good defense overall throughout a season. Well, where if they play good offense, you might not be a Super Bowl team, but they could become a playoff team. So there's a couple pieces away, and especially if they come up back with the same scheme and they keep it moving. Yeah.
No, I 1,000% agree with you on the piece about AP being a great recruiter. I mean, that's what it's basically going to get him the job, right? As he gets guys to buy in. He's a guy that you want to listen to, and like you said, can motivate people. So I definitely think he can attract some free agents, and I think too, I think other players will recognize what he's done around the league and how much he's won over the locker room, and how much the guys have bought in for him, and I think that'll carry some weight in free agency.
Yeah, it's true. So what about these Kliff Kingsbury rumors? Because I keep getting these questions, man.
I don't hate that as a pairing as much as you seem to do. I mean, I always kind of like Kliff Kingsbury as the offense. I like the air raid. I know it's more of a college style offense, but like Kliff Kingsbury did have quite a few successful offenses in Arizona with the Cardinals.
Yeah. But the thing is at the end of the year, they all flamed out. They flame out just like every single time he does it, even in college. Even college, he comes out like, oh, boom, 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 and then he flames out. And I think too, you have to have a quarterback that is a playmaker. And I'm not talking about a scrambler. You need a playmaker. That a guy that is when his white cross doesn't work or his little meshes, you just start spinning around and you find somebody downfield because he had like Patrick Mahomes. You can look at Lincoln Riley, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield. It just keeps going. Those type of guys to run the new edition of the air raid, you have to have a certain type of quarterback. So if you bring him in, I mean, I don't even know if Jay Daniels could do what he wants because you literally have to have like a playmaker.
And you gotta have a hose.
You gotta have a hose and you gotta have a playmaker that because sometimes they drop 8 and the air raid just doesn't work like it needs to. And the guy's got to hold the ball and he's got to make a play. So and just the spread like they like to do and stuff like that. I don't know. I think he was figured out a little bit and he'd have to really, really go to the lab to come back and do it. Because that's the thing. Is the last year he was just so figured out and what they like to do, and he's emotional a lot. So I don't know. That's my thing. The offense flamed out. Like it was really cool in 2020. It was really cool in 2021. And then like the end of 2021, we're like, we figured it out. And then it's kind of like Chip Kelly. That's kind of how he was.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see that. The other thing that you said is everything you said is the opposite of Aiden O'Connell. So they will literally have to get a new quarterback if they're going to go.
You'd have to bring in Justin Fields, bro. Literally, you have to go trade for Justin Fields, and then he could probably run it like a little bit, but
yeah, I mean the reads are simpler in the air raid offense, which is going to be better for a guy like Justin Fields. It's going to be a lot of half side reads and a lot of basically just throw the ball here.
Yeah, and then it kind of races Mayer too, because the Mayer he wouldn't be able to do his thing because he's not in the line as much. He'd be outside, and then the running game is from a spread offense. They do a lot of shotgun.
Yeah, the running game would be, I think, the most drastic changes is like James Conner had some success in it, but James Conner was a lot better at like building up momentum than a guy like Samir White is. Like Josh Jacobs actually wouldn't be terrible fit, but
yeah,
I think we've already kind of belabored the point that it does not seem like Jacobs is coming back.
Yeah. So, man, it just like it sounds exciting, and I can see why fans are excited about it, but it really is like Chip Kelly. Like you just wouldn't bring Chip Kelly back as an OC. Just let it go back to college. You do the spread thing because it just doesn't. Especially with the whole NFL going into more 12 personnel, you see what the Lions are doing, you see what the Niners are doing, you see what these teams are moving on. They're playing a lot more 12 personnel. The Bucks played 12 personnel like the whole game against the Eagles because they have these smaller linebackers and everything's condensing a little bit as the linebackers get smaller. Yeah. The offenses are condensing and they're playing more power football. And I think bringing in somebody like Kliff, it kind of goes the opposite of what everybody else is doing, but successful offense at this point. So that's how I look at it, especially when we have Michael Mayer there, we know he can block.
Yeah.
Right. We could do the power thing. We can, if they went and got a West Coast guy, he could do the power stuff and he could be that type of guy that can run choice routes and they can mix it up with him. They can move Devontae around a lot more in a West Coast offense. So I guess just seeing how these teams be condensed and then wanting to bring a spread guy, it just doesn't.
Yeah, I think you kind of talked me out of it a little bit here. Because like now I think about it, it's like, yeah, the NFL, like if you look at the trend, like it is reverting back to like the early 2000s where running the ball is actually becoming like I feel like more people are asking to run the ball than they were in the last, even 2 or 3 years. But yeah. And it does like everything you're saying. I'm like, man, they'd have to get a new quarterback. I think Mayer could be a little bit more effective because I mean, Ertz had a few good years with in the air raid, and like you can find ways to get those guys open, but like the running game would be an issue. I wouldn't trust Samir White in it, so you would need a lot of changes. The simpler route would be to get someone else that's like maybe from the Shanahan tree or something like that, the West Coast tree.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Cool. All right. So today we're doing a top 5 plays of on offense and defense. It was a request from somebody sent it to me before we get into full draft stuff. Get into some Senior Bowl stuff. I mean, well, Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix are both going there, right? So it's gonna be
Yep.
exciting. See a little quarterback battle. Have a, I mean, Jim Nagy might put them on both sides, but then we got to go, make them
I
face
feel
each
like
other.
Penix. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how much of a beating he ended up actually taking the last game. I'd be surprised if Penix ends up actually playing. I feel like he's going there more to interview.
Yeah,
But I would like to actually see those dudes on the same team because then you can compare them back to back, like and whatnot. But I feel like Nagy's probably going to split them up. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, gotta make a stay for something, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's true. And he like even teased it too. He's like, "Oh, matchup number 3 for the game." I'm like, bro, Penix is not. Feel pretty confident Penix is not going to play in the game.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think either guys will.
Especially if he has a good week. If he goes out there and practices, have a great week.
Yeah,
Yeah, Knicks will play because he just wants to.
that's just Nick's just what. Yeah, Nick's just sees football. He goes, "You must play football."
He played the bowl game, so I mean that kind of shit is on everything. All right. So what do we want to do? Do offense or defense first?
I can go defense first.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, kind of went in descending order a little bit here. And by the way, I know there's probably better plays. There might be more highlight plays throughout the year, but just kept it to the top 5 plays that are some of my favorite plays from this past year, where that we kind of went over and highlighted. And this first one comes from, I believe, this is week 9, AP's first game against the New York Giants. And Meek Robertson's pick here, I feel like this was like the catalyst that kind of set the tone for the rest of the year ended up being, and they ended up winning this game. And what I liked about this too is if you guys remember, and maybe I should have included it, just for the almost the hilarity of it all, but earlier in the game, or Amit got benched earlier in this game, like on his first rep, where Jalen Hyatt just ran straight by him and he had a coverage break on this same post route. So that's part of what I really liked about it too, is kind of showed the adjustment and then goes up and makes a play on the ball in the air. And then after it too, I mean, I think he took this back like 40, 45 yards, makes a nice move to make a guy miss, find some green grass. I mean, that was one of my favorite ones from that he had made all year. This next one coming at number 4. This is I kind of just concluded on here. One, because Maxx Crosby could probably go through a ton of his sacks and put some of them on there, but I really felt like this year in particular, he grew as a run defender and really stood out. And he's going to go up against some elite competition in Penei Sewell, I believe was a first team All-Pro, if not second team. Great job of, just shooting the hands and then taking it away from him to make Sewell miss and change the angle on him. Ends up getting the tackle for about 2 yards. Shout out Malcolm Kuntz there too for cleaning it up on the unblocked side. But yeah, this was probably one of Max's more dominant games against the run and one of his better plays right here against, again, elite competition. Oh, this one, we got the Spillane pick to seal it all against good old Zach Wilson for Pierce's second win of the season. Also want to include a lot of Spillane because I felt like he really kind of shocked a lot of people, including myself, especially in coverage. This is one I think going to stay in cover 3, or no, staying too high, run some cover 4. And I mean, beautiful job just reading Zach Wilson's eyes, because as we know, Zach Wilson loves to stare down his targets. Jumps down the route, and if I remember correctly, this sealed the win, or they might have had one more possession where the game was basically over. So another huge play and a big moment. And again, got Pierce's second win of the year. I just got to watch this again. Boom. Read it, pick it. He ended up with 3, right?
Yeah,
I think that was number 3. All right, so this one I hope everyone recognizes. As far as like just pure athleticism, this was by far the best play of the year. I mean, Jack Jones, again, granted it was 56 to what? I think 7 at this point or something like that. The game was well out of hand, and this was what set the record. But to read the screen and then just like, I'm going to back it up and go slow-mo. Just read it and then get up, one-hand it, and take it back to the house. Like that got people fired up, and that's why we're excited about that guy going into next season. Get the end zone view here, get a nice little visual of the pick. Oh yeah, look at that. I mean, just beautiful. And then probably should come as no surprise, seeing as how the game was. My number one clip from the year comes from the same game. And what I liked about this one too is I felt like it kind of sets a precursor a little bit for what could be coming for the Raiders. I mean, obviously Malcolm Kuntz kind of burst onto the scene last year, towards the end of the year, and before we don't got all time to watch Jenkins run that 40-yard dash. So let me back this up before I get too far off.
He's moving so slow, so I'm dying.
I know. I'm still trying to figure out who told him they thought he hit 20 miles per hour on the GPS. But what I liked about this too is like when I'm talking about this being a precursor of hopefully what's to come for the Raiders is if you watch, like the Chargers ended up having to chip both guys. Like they had to chip Kuntz because he was dominating so much, and Maxx Crosby, obviously. So they took two guys out of the route, and both of them still won and got pressure on Easton Stick there. And obviously Kuntz gets the glory. And of course, we got to include the big guy touchdown, or the thick six, 45 yards untouched to the house.
The thick six. Oh man. Well, yeah. Some good plays. Look at that. A Meek in there. You know, you getting a little Meek. He's
I try to make sure I didn't do same guy twice. Wanted to mix it up a little bit, highlight a few guys. I tried to work some Merrick in there, but wasn't one play that I thought from him that really stood out that fit the bill. So
yeah, that was the problem for me too. Was trying to find play because there's plays that I like that are like bigger plays, but I tried to go for I tried to do I went more ESPN with mine.
Yours a little more splash value,
a little more ESPN. So let's do the offense. Let's do offense here. All right, so we went number 5. Number 5 is the making Patrick Peterson look stupid here play. So number 5, we were gonna have Devontae Adams run this post route here, and just I just love this play. I mean, this is a big play. You know, it was the Jimmy Garoppolo, short-lived Jimmy Garoppolo era. It just Patrick Peterson just looks mad stupid. Has no idea where the ball's at.
I love it too because on character for Garoppolo, slightly underthrown.
Fades away from it for no reason. You know,
fades away from no pressure.
Just flicks into the air. And just Patrick Peterson looks stupid as hell. It's just laid hands, man. And this is, you know, people talk about was Devontae Adams healthy? I mean, yeah, maybe has a part of it. Maybe he got a little injured because he was a lot faster, more explosive earlier in the season. So maybe there's some injuries that he didn't talk about a little bit.
Maybe
Patrick Peterson just has me dying. That's why they got beat 31-17 in the cold. All right. So here's a Michael Mayer touchdown. Here's play 4. This is a big touchdown against the Jets. Basically sealed the game for the Raiders here. So, you know, he comes over here. They ain't got a little slant flat, nothing there. Right. As he, you know, comes back to their side and then hits Michael Mayer with just dunks on him. So this is a huge play for the Raiders offense. One of the best plays because we'll see how he just dunks on this safety or whatever he is, and you know, see Mumford tapping his head. This is the future right here. I mean, this kind of shows that he's gonna be doing this for years.
Yeah,
because there's another play I almost included his catch versus the Lions.
Yeah.
And then you see it here. It's also just dunk on him. Look at that.
He's bigger.
Then get his feet into. Touchdown. That's the future right there, man. Look at that. That's the future of the Raiders. And somebody asked me on Twitter, like, should he get more targets than Devontae and Jacoby Myers? I'm like, definitely Jacoby Myers. He should get more targets next year than Jacoby Myers. For sure. All right, I've included Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is on here a couple times, so he's gonna finish off these top plays because this is one of mine. I really love this catch, this throw, and this route right here. See him beat McDuffie, who had a really good year. I think McDuffie was all pro, wasn't he? I think so. Like second team, maybe.
He made it and Snead didn't.
I I don't know about that. But I mean, I guess for a slot, you see the catch right here by Myers, right in tight coverage. This is one of the best plays of the years for sure. Because this is tight coverage, perfect throw. Great catch. Jacoby Myers.
He had a couple like that this year.
He's a little bit of a big play guy. He just wish he was a little faster. So nice little play there. Diving catch. All right. So then we got the play two. Josh Jacobs. Was it 65-yard touchdown? This is 60-something yard touchdown. Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Mayer with the beautiful block.
Yeah, you get the beautiful block right there by Mayer on that little outside zone right there. Good block from Miller, too. And he's gone off to the races. And then, of course, it's nasty stiff arm at the end right here. 21's down. And there goes Josh Jacobs for the touchdown. Watch one more time here. Boom. Touchdown. Just right there. Great opening. And it's just him and one more. He just throws 21 to the ground. But he got hurt. Let Zamir White get some playing time, man.
I was going to say, is Zamir White's run next?
No. I finished this off with the Jacoby Myers touchdown versus the Broncos. Because, I mean, I really feel like, this is definitely a crazy play that he made. So this is my number one play of the year right here. I really feel like he's supposed to throw it back here to Gabe O'Connell. I really feel like this is play design. He's supposed to stop right here because O'Connell kind of is like running around. He kind of looks back for a football. Why is he looking back? You know what I mean? Like, what is he looking at? I really feel like this is supposed to be like a backwards throw here, right? Or maybe he's supposed to go to Adams here. And he sees that he has a opening on the other side, and he reverses. Right, so here he comes. He's reversing. So he's not a very fast guy, obviously, right? But he could make a move inside, touchdown. This is a crazy play by him. This would be a playmaker right here, man.
Yeah, when you did the first clip on Jacoby Myers, I thought it might be one of the ones where he's playing quarterback.
And touchdown. You see from the other side here. Touchdown. Raiders. A nice little cut inside.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so just my top five. Top five plays of the year on offense. I had a couple that I wanted to put in there, but I just didn't. I just like the one to Adams versus Dolphins. Almost put that one in there. And then
from Myers.
Yeah. No. The throw from O'Connell. You're talking about the other play where Myers made a throw to the touchdown against the Chargers. Is that what you're talking about?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know. I really didn't think about that one. I mean, it was such an easy throw. I guess it's a play.
He had one where he dropped like a dime, and I think to Devontae for a touchdown. It threw, and I remember it being like damn, like that was actually a pretty good pass. I don't remember where it was from.
Yeah, I think it was that throw. I mean, it was a good throw, but it just was I guess I just like that Jacoby Myers play a little bit better than that one. I feel like it was the best play of the year. And the Trey Tucker diving catch versus the Giants, I almost put that one in there. But yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it, man. What else? So it's basically draft time after this, free agency and draft time. I mean, we'll definitely go draft more because we got the Senior Bowl coming up in a couple weeks. So we're gonna go deep dive into that. Look at the quarterbacks. Try to get into Michael Pratt here soon. See what he's looking like. He's supposed to be the Aiden O'Connell of the draft that I heard from reading Deontay Lee's athletic report. He's supposed to be that type of guy, so he's supposed to not be able to move too much. He's supposed to be the pocket passer. So we'll see how that looks with him, and he might be a sneaky guy at the Senior Bowl. Maybe he has a good week, has a good showing. He might make some noise a little bit. You got Penix Jr. out there, and you got
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix. So definitely do highlight them next week or this weekend. And then of course doing draft content. I'll probably do some Jane Daniels this week for the members or something. I don't know. We'll mix it up, guys. We're gonna mix it up. Anything from you, Matt? Any last thoughts on this coaching search or anything or whatever?
Not much, man. I mean, like you said, Senior Bowl coming up, so get prepared for some draft season to start heating up. Got the playoffs on store this weekend. Obviously, Raiders aren't involved, but last few chances to watch some football coming up. Been a heck of a year. I'm glad we can put a bow in it put a bow in the season for the Raiders and hopefully wrap up these coach and GM searches soon. So
yeah, because then we probably have to talk about that. I guess if that comes out a couple days here, if they announce it tomorrow. Yes, we talk about that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I think they're probably gonna try to announce it. Be like, oh baby, because they're done with the coaching search, and here comes Ian Rappaport, 6 o'clock in the morning, as soon as I wake up. But,
I feel like we'll get the GM news tomorrow. I don't know. This is just my gut, and I'm just going off this. We'll just get the GM news like Wednesday morning, but they might wait on AP just because, like, I feel like it'd be pretty bad optics to the day after you finish wrapping up the Rooney Rule interviews. Yep, Antonio Pierce is the head coach. But it is kind of like, why are we keeping? There is the other end of it, is why are we keeping this a secret when everyone knows it at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you guys just announce it. The GM one is the interesting one because I still don't think is just secure right there. I think maybe Dodds might have a shot there, but it's leaning Kelly, but maybe Dodds just sneaks in there. That'd be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, well, I mean, obviously, once we get the GM, we'll be able to game plan more for the draft, or be looking at all the draft content we'll be putting out there. So be on the lookout for that, guys, and we're out of here. See ya.